Hail, hail, the Celts are here, and what the hell do we care now? We are here for the Thursday night Scsc stream, where we normally pick over the bones of whatever happened midweek and get ourselves set up for the weekend, which we'll, of course, be doing in the show. But as you'll have probably seen, if you clicked on the video, you'll see the headline. There's been some developments in the aftermath of the malaise that we had against Kairat last night. Celtic might just be pushing the button on a transfer before they left the office because this has came out at like 6-7 o'clock at night. So it feels like one of those ones. They send an email and they leave their house. And as they leave their house, they get into the car. And of course, as we know, they're all subscribers here on the Celts are here and they get ready for the Thursday night show. I am Quinny, of course, and I'm joined as always by McBrideACE. McBride, good to see you, my man. Hail, hail.
Hail, hail. Good evening. Welcome, Brendan Rogers. Thanks again for watching. No beer tonight, but I've got a green can.
Right for me.
Yeah, so there we go. Looking forward to having a quick chat about things and yeah, getting some stuff off my chest probably after last night. So
yeah, well, after last night, it felt like we got a lot of stuff put on our chest, didn't we? Watching that game, it just felt like you got heavier and heavier. Don't know about being at the game, but certainly on the couch, it just felt like you were sinking further and further into it. Like, oh no, I've seen this one before. I know where this is going. Especially with the disallowed goal so early in the match, I don't know who didn't get flashbacks. PTSD kicked in a big way for me. And again, first time I really spoke to you. We've been chatting before coming on, McBride, but we've not really spoke about last night. I dropped my breakdown and I tried to keep it to on the pitch as much as possible. The second half of the video is a rant on board and transfer activity, whatever, but I tried my best. But in the aftermath, in the wake of the game last night, how you thoughts and feelings and how you feeling about it all?
Really flat, to be honest. I mean, obviously before the game we were talking about the transfers and all right, maybe the deadlines on the Tuesday, maybe we'll get somebody in and stuff, and it just feels quite toxic overall. And like the atmosphere before the game was obviously quite good, and the difficulty in these games is that it's a huge game for the club and is can get a bit edgy, so if you make a good start, the fans go wild, but as soon as you get a real kind of the disallowed goal, or they're getting chances, or hang on, we thought we were going to steamroller this team, they're actually quite decent, then the sort of edginess sort of sets in. But I think so clean sheet, so the guy when he scored the goal was like a mile offside and stuff like that, right? And I watched it on the TV as well. I never got a ticket, but there was a lot of stuff about time wasting and things, but the guy ended up with that thing and he headed a big cut, and fans maybe didn't realise that. So there's a lot of frustration. Like people messaging me going, "Oh, they're time wasting and blah blah." It's like the guy's got like blood coming out his head, like what I mean? Like he's like
just seen it pouring out, didn't you?
It's like you've got that, and then so I mean Johnson getting injured as well is like, oh no. I mean, like he was just starting to look as if he was actually playing pretty well. And then just I don't know. I felt as if like at the end of the game, I thought where a lot of games you think if we score here, like I'm going to explode, I'm going to go mental. And I was sitting watching the game, I thought, so see if we score here, like I don't even feel like celebrating. I feel as if like I don't know. It was just a completely weird feeling, and it's all come from this. Like I know we've talked about transfers and everything, but also the way the media and everything's going as well. Like in the lead up to the game, talking to Brendan Rogers and stuff like that, and talking about transfers, and after the game, like we've come out of a game and it's 0-0, right? Their star young guy who's signed with Chelsea suspended, their goalkeeper's injured. Everybody's pretending as if we've got beat already. It's almost as if it's like, oh, why have we not won 4-0 against this team? It's 0-0. Like, we need to go and we need to win the game. But everybody's having this big post-mortem, and the manager's talking about, oh, well, if you say sack the board, that means the manager gets sacked and stuff. And you're like, hang on, we've not got beat 3-0 or anything here. Like, we're in this tie. So it seemed quite surreal. I wasn't surprised either get took off at halftime. I thought, like, for once, actually, like he's watching the same game I'm watching here, but we were really just short of some of those options we've had in previous times to sort of change the game. So you can say it's a bit boring or it's possession based and that type of thing, but I just thought it was really like just an awful awful overall performance. Just bad. And I don't know. I didn't know what I felt surreal. How did you feel about it? Just, well, I don't know. It was a weird one.
I think it's one of those ones where it feels very frustrating for everyone because it feels like it's validation. Because again, you only need to cast your mind back to the Aberdeen game where, yeah, like we beat them and we were better than them and whatever, it was a good game. But Hitate's goal was a belter. Nygren's done really well for his finish as well. 2 moments of like class that separate you from those teams. And we were nowhere near, like, you know, how many, neither between both those goalkeepers, they have totally got away with one last night. And in that sense, I said in my breakdown, like, I felt a lot of deja vu to like Bruges, Zagreb. You know, we've kind of been here before with Celtic over the last year where goalkeepers get let out of jail sometimes, and we should really be killing teams and winning matches where maybe we draw or it's squeaky bum time at the end and something incredible needs to happen. We just don't actually like shoot. We don't actually attack as much as we should. And, you know, we kind of spoke at length when we get the little board out for, you know, where that kind of breaks down and where we need further improvements for it. But I think, like, for me, like, it was weird, right? Because see, before coming to do the video, I obviously rewatched all the highlights from the night before just to kind of just refresh my memory and whatever. And see, when you look back on it in the cold light of day, like, we could have scored 2 or 3. You know, we hit the post with Forrest. Maeda really should have won us the game. You know, he's done that twice now this season, been through one-on-one. One time he, you know, fell on his backside, and this time, you know, he pulled his leg afterwards. Wasn't he too sure if he was feeling a wee bit of cramp or something? I don't know. But both times, you know, again, the same sort of pressure I was putting on Ida coming into the game. He has to score that. You know, if he's going to be Daisen Maeda, the hero, the man, the myth, the legend, the guy that's going to go for big money to someone, or is going to be a hero at the World Cup, whatever his plans and whatever he's thinking, he has to score that. There's just no 2 ways about it. Everyone through the annals of time scores that goal. Edward, Dembele, even bloody Griffiths or something. You know what I mean? Like Hooper, Stokes. All these guys hit the net there, and that's twice on the trot now. Didn't matter too much against Aberdeen, was it? Maybe St Mirren, I forget who it was, but you know the chance I'm talking about. And
yeah,
it's a really weird one.
Aye, I mean, he's not really buzzing at the moment, is he? But like, I think he's still putting in a lot of effort because, like, you know, there's been a couple of rumours as well about potential transfers and things, and I don't
Brendan
think
Rodgers' alt account.
What's that?
Brendan Rodgers' alt account.
Well, it's easy to make up rumours about stuff like that because he's not playing well. So you look at Maeda and then he starts seeing that powder puff stuff where he's through and goal and you think he's not really. But then he was really good against Falkirk and scored a good header and stuff like that. And I think we've got to accept that the issue here is that you can't rely on Maeda every game. You're supposed to have a front three. Nicholas Kuhn was sold. He got 33 goal contributions last season between goals and assists or something. So people come away with this sort of all the way down till second half of the season type thing. But, you know, he was in January was a standout candidate for player of the season. Then he was a bit quieter, which was more like the way he was when he actually joined. So it could just be a form thing. And then he was doing all that stuff where he was doing, you know, when he Dundee United and all that and scoring the goals and like, yeah, you know, kind of shut up type things. So, you know, people say he down tools, maybe he wasn't as interested, but you just, I mean, if he's done 33 goals and assists and he wasn't even really trying in the second half of the season, that just shows you how big a problem we've actually got in terms of replacing those goals and assists. We had a wee chat about it off air, but James Forrest, he tries his best. I love him. But is he really actually Champions League level now? He's a squad player. And then, you know, Adam Ida's just, I don't know. How harsh to be here? I just think he's just don't rate him whatsoever. And like, he did, like, when you look at like what Maeda does through the middle and what Kyogo did and the movement and all that type of stuff, he just doesn't really seem to have really any of that at all. I don't know. I just don't really get it. So if you give him loads of chances, he'll score goals. But like, what's that really saying about a striker? Do you know what I mean? If you bring in a striker, you bring him to Celtic, you expect him to score goals. They're going to get lots of chances. Like, just scoring 15 goals a season or whatever, I don't think that says much about anybody at all. I think you bring in Kieran Bowie, you could bring in the guy Murray that played for Dundee, they would score 15 or 20 goals for Celtic, I think. So,
Yeah.
you know, I don't think that's saying much at all, but I just don't like his overall performance was just completely lackluster, whether it's confidence or whatever. I wish we would just take some action and just sell him. Just actually, if Udinese or somebody wants to buy him for 5 or 6 million, just say, look, we've made a mess of that. It's not worked. Sell him, get rid of the wages and stuff, and then bring somebody else in. That's what a proper club would do. But yeah, I mean, I don't really think that if we do that, we would get the replacement in. Would be Brendan's asking for an R striker. Well, he's asking for Kyogo's replacement. So it kind of looks, we'll go on it, but it looks as if what we're going to do is fill the wings, and then we'll just, you know, he's realised that Maeda's natural positions as the striker. So,
do you know, I was thinking about this. We had I think it was the Friday stream, somebody mentioned that and they made a point. I forget exactly how it all went. And I was thinking about it as it kind of came back to my mind with setting up tonight, and you've reminded me of it again. But the board are in the lack of transfer activity and whatever. Like you say there, like what, you know, you could get in years gone by, the bad actions of the board, if they'd behaved that even to that extent, we would be better off. Let's see if they were being cheap and not really moving anything on and being hesitant, and they went and signed Martin Boyle and Topi Kiskin and Mulligan and, you know, like 5 of those guys and put them in the squad. We would have probably won last night. You know what I mean? We would have probably just had guys that were right up for it. Biggest night of their life, trying to prove something. And I think there's a little bit of psychology that comes in that, because a lot of the guys in the squad at the moment maybe feel the weight of the situation more. But we're in this position because, like, they're just absolutely bottling it, deer in the headlights. And I think that's where, like, at the back end of my video that I went out today, I was putting pictures of the board into it, and we were saying, like, hopefully they went home embarrassed last night, because you've seen the images of them. They didn't look comfortable. They didn't look happy. The last time I seen them at a European night was the Bayern Munich game, you know, and what a contrast in images that must be. And like we joked in the intro, it's in the tagline of the video as well. Just like minutes before we come on, Anthony Joseph is breaking an update that Celtic are ramping up their pursuit for go-ahead Eagles attacking midfielder Jacob Breum. Sky Sports News understands fresh talks have been held today for the Denmark under-21 international, who can play on both wings. It's understood go-ahead Eagles are looking for at least 5 mil. And the last time we spoke about that was the 29th of July, so the thick end of a month ago, and it was the same terms. So I think Celtic know where the chips lie. Go-ahead also quite public in how Celtic have handled the matter to this point in the aftermath of them selling Oliver Antman to Rangers. So we're going back now, cap in hand, just saying, right, here's your fucking money, he's the guy. Is this a good sign? Is this like, okay, they've woke up maybe, or, you know, they you know, they can smell the coffee, they can read the writing on the wall now after that performance last night? What do you think?
I think it's embarrassing. I think it's extremely embarrassing. I think having a press conference where the manager comes out and says, I don't really know what else to say in terms of why we don't have any players in, is hugely embarrassing. We touched on it, or we started to try and work it out. There's a problem at Celtic. What is the problem? Is the manager the problem? Are they going to the manager with signings and he's saying, no, I want better than that, and then they're saying, well, you'll need to wait on the qualifiers? Or is the problem higher up? Is the problem in how we recruit players? Is the problem that they wanted $1 million more than we wanted to pay, but we wouldn't just go and get that deal done for the deadline? We're waiting it out, hoping that the guy will just say, I really want to go to Celtic, and then we'll shave some money off and we take a more long-term view because it's a model. It's embarrassing, Quinny. It's really embarrassing. Like, you know, Rangers are really poor, and I watched those games, and obviously they're in a big transition, and they were horrendous. But you can see when they signed Antman, like, why they brought him in and what he actually gives. And on his debut, which was like the day after they signed him, they put him into a Champions League qualifier and they won 3-0. We're playing in a Champions League qualifier and bringing on Yang. Like, he actually brought a bit of kind of spark, but he's I tell you, like, honestly, that, like, that's a couple of comments in the chat saying Breum isn't very good. I mean, he was one of the best young players in the Eredivisie, so see if he's no better than Yang, then I give up, honestly. I mean, seriously. Like, I really like Yang, and I've kind of defended him because I thought that maybe he was actually on the improve, but he's kind of back to this no-end product type thing where he kind of looks as if he's going to do some stuff, then doesn't he actually do anything at all. We've got Kieran Tierney bombing down the line, putting in good balls into the box. Adam Ida, a big guy in the middle who hasn't really got any physical presence. I wasn't at the game, but I tried to kind of have a look at what Ida was doing. And remember, we used to go to the games, right? And we were sitting behind the goal, and you would always be going mental because what would happen is somebody would get the ball and Kyogo would be on the spin. But we never had like a defender who could actually play that ball into him, but he was moving and stuff like that. Ida wasn't doing anything at all. Useless. Just absolutely useless. Just standing up there as if, well, somebody's got to create me a chance. No actual movement or anything. Could be a confidence thing. I don't know, but just absolutely useless. So if we bring in like Balikwisha, Breum, the confusing thing about them is they've both been playing quite central. And we brought in Nygren, we've played them central. And it's like, what's the plan here? We're just going to overload the middle of the pitch. But, Balikwisha last season, his kind of heat map was more on the left-hand side. So I think that he could do the kind of Jota role. You'd have Maeda through the middle, and then you'd have the option of like maybe Nygren, Breum, and the other options in the right wing. And then that would I think, be okay. But I just really don't think that asking for £5 million to be paid on one of the best young players in Holland at this stage is unrealistic. And if we were in for him, why did we not just go and get him in for that game? That would even have given the fans a lift. It would have given us an option. It would have, it's 10% of the potential 50 million for getting in the Champions League. We've got money in the bank. I just don't get it. I don't know what is actually like. They should do a documentary, like they do with like Wrexham and stuff like that. Imagine they'd done a documentary in there. Bring, hello, it's DD. I'm hitting a putt in the golf course just now. Leave me alone, even if he answers, that's the kind of rumor. But I mean, there's all this stuff slushing about. But see, when we deal with transfers, we're horrific. Honestly, the club are obviously identifying decent players, right? We know Balikwisha and Breum are actually pretty decent players. They're not world beaters or anything, but they're young. Balikwisha's youngish, and I think that they're better than some of the guys that we've got there at the moment. So why haven't we bought them? I just don't get it.
Just to come back to this comment from Honor Permon, I can take it off screen. All we were saying was that they probably scored last night. That is like all I've said about that. We're not saying we should sign them or anything. And as you were saying that there, I got this kind of image in my head of it being some sort of, like if they did a documentary on it, it would be like some sort of like crossover between like The Office and Ted Lasso, where it's, like just the mad, it'd be so good, wouldn't it? It'd be so revealing, it'd be so interesting. I think, like you say, it is embarrassing. I get buoyed, I get excited, when I see that now. The Balikwisha the kind of leak that we got the other day, that it's the player's side that's being held up. People jump to conclusions that he's waiting for Champions League. It might even be, you've pointed out to me before coming on, Antwerp have just signed a left winger in the last couple of days or something like that.
Today.
Today. There you go. So maybe the Balikwisha one we were being held up out with our control, and maybe there's other stuff like Breum that was totally within our control to do or not. And, I'm hopeful today that what's happened is Brendan sat down with them and said, I need authorization without you guys up to 7 million now, or 5 million or whatever, because this 3 million crap isn't fucking working quite clearly. You need to update your protocols. We need to update this plumbing system. So that it gives me a little bit of hope when I see that happening the next day. I was begging for something to happen today off the back of how everything went, because if we have had a few irons in the fire, there needs to be a reaction from the board after last night, especially with them being in the stadium and all the connotations around everything. Like you say, and like other people are pointing out also, we did draw the game. They are missing their keeper. They are missing their little wonder kid. They travelled 3,500 miles to us last night. I know we need to do it, but it's not as if it's like, it's like chopping your legs off. They did it. They managed to do it all right. Last time we took Madonna's jet, apparently. Let's hope that, they're rolling out the red carpet It's the least the board can do, I think, in this case, to make sure that all those players that we've got don't go over there and are mad jet lagged and get cramped up and whatever. So I don't know. Seeing this lifts my spirits, certainly. Balikwisha, like you mentioned as well, like, and we've kind of alluded to there, he started the season really well. There was a bit of an injury concern with him. Maybe similar to Breum, he had a bit of an injury last year also, but he's back to being his best self. He's firmly in the shop window, and I think any fears maybe from our end on him have certainly been quelled, you would imagine.
Well, I think the other thing is it's quite well publicised that Antwerp actually want to sell some players and they needed a bit of money. I think even it was at Overmars, I think he went there as sporting director, and they basically said, yeah, we probably will have to move some players on. I think like the report that made the most sense was that actually it looks as if things were largely agreed, but they wanted to bring somebody in, and then lo and behold, they've signed somebody today. But this is a guy we've been linked with since January. Why have we not got a deal done by now? We should have been over to them saying, right, we want him. And when we did that, then they get their time to buy a player. And then we say to them, right, well, we've got this deadline. We want you to sign somebody so we can send him by that deadline. Our deadline's not the end of the month. Our deadline's a week earlier or 10 days earlier. Make that clear and say the offer's on the table until that point. Get the deal done, get the guy in. We got a few bodies in, obviously, in the window quite early on. Tierney was done before. We signed guys like Osmond. We bought Nygren. Really good signing. Good piece of recruitment. Like him. Really like watching him. But then we sold Kuhn. And why did we not say to Kuhn, oh, you can't go until we've got your replacement in? Why are we the only club in all of these chains where we just say, that's fine. 16 million. Oh, yes. Put that in the biscuit tin, yes. We'll be roasting, and Wednesday night we'll be warmed by these heated seats with our 16 million in the coffers. What we're going to do about signing some, I will worry about that later. Let's have our pies and our beers at halftime and stuff. I just don't get it. We're not run like an actual proper business. Because if you're running a business, if you want to treat it like a business and the building money and all that type of stuff, you would want to make sure you had the replacement in before the big qualifier that's worth all that money. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't get it.
I'm with you on that one. Because I put a tweet out about it last night and basically called them every type of old-fashioned I could think of, like Neanderthals and antiques and everything.
I've seen that.
So it's just absolute. Everything is just back. It's. Like people were bringing up examples in other streams I listened to, like, we spent 4 million on Alan Stubbs and stuff like that. And it is like, you can wake up, Celtic, like 9 million on either shouldn't be a thing. Nobody should care about that. It shouldn't be a problem. £9 million on players is really normal in football for teams that are in the Champions League as often as we are, even though we've not been like ever present for the last 25, with the amount of shirts that we sell. I seen someone else that picked up on this point. I mentioned they left a comment in the video earlier today. But Celtic are like off the charts in every metric when it comes to football clubs, for anything to do commercially that's not TV revenue. Anything other than TV revenue, we're in the top 20, top 25, top 10, top 50 of every list. Doesn't matter, I'm saying top 50 to be generous out there to anyone that thinks I might be over-egging it, but I'm not. Yeah. But everything, season tickets, shirts, global interest, blah, 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 everything. And they you get the little one to face stuff with them sometimes on their YouTube channel. I think it's normally at the end of the calendar year because it's maybe tied in with some sort of like reporting maybe to Company's House or something. And they always talk about Celtic's a global brand and Celtic's this and Celtic. They don't treat it like that at all, man. Celtic should be monetized out of its eyeballs. I know people are upset or whatever about the amount of merch that we've had released or whatever, but like that should be like, that shouldn't be, if your fans are complaining about the club being super commercialized, like it's normally when things are going way into the nth degree. You just need to look at like Liverpool and Man City on social media, how well monetized like their squad is, and every activity they do is content and everything's for the camera and everything's for the fans and whatever. And there's pros and cons to that, fine, whatever. But not selling 4 kits and some training merch, like 4 kits maybe feels excessive to a lot of folk. I would probably just about fall into that, but it's very normal. There's plenty of teams out there with 4 kits. We're not alone in that category. So They don't even monetize it properly, which is a further. I kind of said this earlier, but a part of the thing with last night being so like painful or apathetic for a lot of people is that we can all see it coming. You know, we can all see that we're struggling to score goals. It's very obvious, and how the people are meant to be running our world class brand, global club, world class basics, all the stuff they like to say and be. How they can just be so far off it, like you say, just none of it adds up. It's just crazy. It's like how, where, how, why, you know, like, yeah. So it's maddening. So the Breum thing lifts my spirits a little bit and gets me in the right direction. We've got a new board, McBride. I showed you this before we come on.
Yeah.
So this is the depth for how it sits right now. I can adjust the size of the players. So any feedback on anything, let me know. I can change kind of everything on this. It's very good. Some of the numbers I need to change and update. I think Ben Summers is not number 16. I think the rest of them are all right. And I think Jacob Breum is like a really good addition into this. It's a lot better than Vardy, certainly. And I think like this is the sort of player that the front line needs, because when Brendan took off Eden last night, the main thing he said he wanted was more urgency in the front line. I don't think particularly Maeda was a wee bit more effective at dropping into those spaces and do wee one-touch stuff and then spin and then teleport and instantly be on the back line again, pushing the defenders, because he's just kind of omnipresent, isn't he? And Breum is of that kind of mold of being like a high-energy front-end player that is like on the front foot, is a press machine. You know, I've seen somebody in the chat saying highlights on YouTube are meant to make you look good. This guy's doesn't, but he's going to fit into the team perfectly is the number one thing you'll see about him. This isn't going to be a Louis Palma effort or a Yang effort or anything like this. This is a guy similar to Negren that you just put him in alongside other good players, and you know they'll find their way through the lines and into the box. And whether it is starting on the right hand side, I don't mind that too much, because I do think the way that Nygren is playing, the way we're going to see Ralston or Johnson or whatever play down the right, is these guys are coming inside a lot anyway. You know, so him and Balikwisha being kind of narrow, that might kind of lend itself more to, you know, us thinking about like those forward players all becoming more of like a narrow force rather than spread out. So I like the Breum move. I think it gives us a lot of options, and I really do think it's again, the chat said too little too late. I could agree with that as well, but it's better late than never as well.
Yeah, the problems there are for everybody to see. The manager's been talking about it. Even like you looked at the St Mirren game and we huffed and puffed a bit in that game, and we got the goal and stuff. But yeah, everybody's been able to see it for a while. It was quite predictable. You could see even like the cup final and everything last season. Some of the games against Rangers last season, you could see that what was sort of needed, and this all kind of comes down to like actually selling Kyogo. Now there might have been valid reasons for that. Obviously, it was a good amount of money. He might have wanted to go, but it's the lack of the replacement, and also we've known that Jota was injured for a while as well. So you know you can't just say, well, we'll just wait. He'll be back at Christmas. You know, out the Champions League qualifier, you could be. You know, there's a cup that's started and finished. There's half the league gone by. Like you can't act like that when you know that that's a reality. And I know you've got to operate within a wage bill and stuff, but the amount of money we're bringing in is like, we've made a profit in the transfer window. So it started with a really, really, really good balance and then made a profit. And you've got the manager in front of the camera in every interview just actually looking deflated, as if I'm like what more can I say? Like I've been asking for players since January. And how many times have we had conversations, Quinny, and we said, yeah, maybe it is quite a difficult window to get players in January. You know, teams don't want to let the players go and it's more difficult, but we'll do business in the summer. We'd be as well just saying the summer's like the last 48 hours before the transfer window closes. See now, like, I think what will happen is like these guys will sign like the day after the Kairat game or something like that. Like, they, you know, will they come in this weekend or whatever? I would even this. I don't know. It's good to know that there's still a bit of life there in it, but you just wonder like where that information's actually coming from. Did they just make a change and say, right, we've watched that, we've seen enough, we agree, okay, we're going to spend the money? Or are they putting that out there just to save their own face? because they're sitting there and people are pointing fingers at them and they're sitting in the stadium going, oh, I'm getting all the flack and everything here. But it's just what confuses me overall is how we've got all this money. And okay, we're tremendously well run. But even if we didn't get in the Champions League this season, we're not in any danger whatsoever. You know, if we had one season where we made an operating deficit or whatever, I think we could go for 2 or 3 seasons like that. Even if we had contracts and stuff that were there, we've got some sellable assets. Like, you know, nobody wants to think that Maeda might go, but if he doesn't sign a new contract next year, you're going to have to sell him. Otherwise, leaving a free, so you would still get some money for him. There's like, I don't get it. I just don't really get it. It's just like they're obviously, you know, a guy Nicholson who went to Harvard and Lowell who was an accountant or whatever, and you know, not any no one in there who's really an actual progressive type person who wants to like move the club forward. And then you look at the this got my goat this week as well. You know, the youth system. Yeah, we're spending this money and we're doing up Barrowfield and everything. Ben Doak goes, can't promise him any games. People said it was about money. Everywhere he goes, says he wants to play football, and all of a sudden he's moved for 25 million, second most valuable Scottish player ever, and we let him go, or we couldn't keep him. So like, what's the point of having all these guys? Yeah, we'll hire Darren O'Day or whatever, and we'll make him a pathways manager or whatever. Like why? Like, hire guys based on their actual qualifications, not like who used to play for the club and their nationality and stuff. It's like on Sorry Quinny until we'll do the nationality clues. Oh, Irish, right? Get him in.
You're in.
Rip up the other CVs. There we go. Darren O'Day, Johnny Hayes. He used to play for Celtic. That's it. Box ticked to get him in. What we do? We'll give him the under 18s or something. Like all probably really nice guys, right? But you don't see Leipzig or Red Bull or Salzburg or Strasbourg or whatever part of the Chelsea group. You don't see any of them acting like that at all, do you? They hire people with the right talents. Like, it's just baffling.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people thought that might change with Tisdale coming in, and it's not. I say it just feels like the board will just maintain the control, even though they're putting these little people in place. You know, like Rogers, give him his wee pedestal. Tisdale, any of the scouts or any other people involved that we don't really know about because they don't ever body talk. But then when it comes to actually doing stuff, it's like, well, you need to run that by us, and then well, I'm off this week, so get back to you next week or whatever they're doing. I don't know at this point. There's over 200 of you watching us live and loud now on YouTube. Absolutely love to see it. Fist bumps to you all. If you could smash the like button, it just goes a long way to supporting the channel. You probably know this, but YouTube, they want to show the good stuff to all the jungle gyms around the world. And the only way they know if it's a good show that we're having is if you guys are in the live chat, which you are, absolutely ripping it up. Love to see it. And also smashing the like button. It means a lot to us if you can help us out. We set a goal on the last video, McBride, and I think we've absolutely tanked it already. To get through 250 likes, and next week I'm going to do a watch along for the Kairat game since it's away. There's also no chance I'll be going to it, so we'll be doing that next week. I don't know if we can set a like goal and I'll do something on this, but we know the magic numbers. The first one's 67, the next one's 88, and then after that we want to get by 100, and I guess now it's 250 is the benchmark, guys. We need to keep outdoing ourselves here. Show your support on the channel, smash the like button if you could. And get into the chat, drop a fist bump, let us know thoughts and feelings on the game last night, transfer policy, the board, anything you want to chew over. On the show, we normally, if we've had midweek football, kind of chew it over, talk about everything we've seen or whatever, and then lead that into the weekend. If I can just get the toy board back up here for a second. It should work. There we go. This is the team that started last night. The best 11 as I've kind of designated it on this. Jacob Breum, I think, makes a difference to that quite quickly, doesn't he?
Aye.
Last thing I'll kind of say on that. Like,
yeah, definitely better than Forrest. I don't think he plays in either's position, but like, you know, I think if you get your boots out, you're probably better than Ida at the moment. So, aye, surely got to improve that. I mean, come on, like, he's just form's horrific. So,
yeah, totally. And yeah, so this weekend we're off the back of the Kairat. This is the team that played them. We're also seeing how the subs went. We lost AJ to injury. Ida come off at half time. Tierney come off 10 minutes later than usual, or 8 minutes later than usual, or whatever. Maeda played the full 90 as well, which I found interesting. With Shin Yamada coming off the bench later in the game as well. Right, I've got your predicted team here already for the Livingston game. Will we show it? Will we go into Livingston? What will we do?
Yeah, put it on. Yeah, let's have a look.
Right, so I press number 4. There we go. Boom! Look at that. So this is the team you've got now. I've kind of got guys quite attacking because it's Livingston. I've also got the Livingston predicted team for the night as well, which I've just put them into their usual positions of defending the 8-yard box. They're expected to go 5-4-1. And that guy Silla played at Dundee last year. And then they've got one guy up front that's going to be dead by the end of the game. but yeah, so I put the midfielders quite high on this one. You think we go you think we go this strong? We played Wednesday night. We're playing this game on Saturday, and then is it Tuesday in Kazakhstan next week?
Yeah.
You think we go this strong?
I was a wee bit surprised at some of the guys that played against Falkirk. I mean, I was surprised Tierney started against Falkirk. Yeah, obviously, I think we're kind of learning from the season before where they were actually quite good wide, and if we'll start Tierney and stuff like that, and we'll get. And I think there was maybe a feeling that we were still getting a bit up to speed, and that might actually help us for the qualifiers. You look at Alistair Johnson, and obviously he's played such a huge amount of football, and touch wood, it's not too bad, but it looked like a really bad one in terms of the hamstring injury. It looked really bad. That could be like a 6 to 8 week type job, and you got to be really careful with that because if you come back and you do it again, then you're out for another 3 months type thing. I think because Johnson's out, it restricts the amount of changes he can make to the rest of the back line. Because I know Livingston might not be sort of up to much, but one of the ways you can manage having to go to Rangers away after Kairat is by beating Livingston. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've not been scoring a lot of goals at home, so we need to be competitive. You can't just make 7 changes and then all of a sudden then you go to the Rangers game and you've actually like thrown an olive branch out there. The best way to hammer things home with it, the points have been dropped elsewhere, is to keep winning at home. So I'd far rather we started the game quite strong and then made our changes and things with that game in mind and managed minutes. Tierney's not played a full game yet. Scales kind of seems to be going over there and covering them. I think Engels really needs minutes. He was good against Falkirk, so maybe could be a game to rest Hatate. So that's probably one where you could say, okay, you need Nyden's creativity against the low block, but maybe play Engels, bring Hatate on. You've got him in reserve. I wouldn't start Adam Ede in any game at all soon. I think you've got to say to him, until you're actually going to go out there and you're going to give us some actual movement and stuff like that, like, off the ball movement, not like, at the start of the game, I think he was running about and looked as if he was going to press, but then he just stopped. Like, it didn't seem as if he was doing it consistently. Like, whereas Maeda's up there, and Maeda's getting to the end of the game and he's starting to feel a bit cramped because he's running about the whole game. So I think you've got to get Maeda up there. He's your best striker, and then you work around that. And Yang wasn't great, but I thought actually kind of lifted the level for 5 or 10 minutes because he was running at guys, and he'd one where I think he created the chance for Forrest. He kind of beat a guy, played the ball out wide. Forrest come in, hit the shot, hit the post. All of a sudden there was a bit of activity. So I'd rather see that. I'd rather see Yang actually given a chance against that low block than just trot out the same old rubbish we've been watching for the last couple of games. And I think I've seen somebody slagging off Shin, or just saying like, I think I'm maybe going a bit too early here, but doesn't he look like a player? The guy's not played a full game for Celtic yet. He's played like 60 minutes. Like, how you can't judge somebody like that after that. You've got to give him a bit of time, give him a chance. If in 15 games or whatever he's played 10 games, he's had some starts and he looks awful or whatever, well, fair dues, but 60 minutes in, come on, like, too early.
Sorry, that one got me. No, I'm with you. I think for this, like, I'll just put on I had the team here that played Falkirk in the cup because, sorry, you still you don't have Sinisalo, you've got Schmeichel, don't you?
I think I put Schmeichel in, but I had him quite a low percentage for a home game. I actually think that there's a fair chance that he could go Sinisalo, just because he said in the cup night that Sinisalo wasn't the cup goalkeeper. He said he would get some games. So he was just basically suggesting that what you said before on the channel, like he might get some games against weaker opposition or whatever. And basically rather than sending them on loan, will give him some games. And Schmeichel clearly needs to be managed a wee bit because he ended up with that shoulder injury last season. He goes away with Denmark, plays all Champions League games and stuff like that. So, I don't think he will start Sinisalo, but I think that the risk if him starting Sinisalo is a lot higher for this game just because of what he said. So
yeah, agreed. I think I just left that in from when I was setting the board up. I wasn't, so I just wanted to double check that. So this is the team that played Falkirk, and Brendan did say going into that game, a lot of the idea of this team is the Livingston match, and I found it interesting that it was right up the spine is where the changes were. Engels, McKeown, Murray, and Trusty. I can't see those four not playing Livingston personally. I think everything's on the second leg, and I think Tate, Nygren, you really need to. I don't know who he's going to look after the most here. She can't really look after all of them in terms of the front line. But Nygren came off the bench and played wing. I could see that kind of thing maybe happening in this game. He started Kenny against Falkirk, and obviously, as you mentioned, then we've seen Shin off the bench in every match. And if he is going to bomb out Ida, then really it could be anyone through the middle between Maeda, Kenny, and Shin. Maybe even Osmond, who knows? Wouldn't rule that out at this point either. But I couldn't believe he started Tierney and Ralston in this game as well. I found that really surprising, and I don't know if Ralston's maybe paid the price for that now. All of a sudden,
Johnson.
You're thinking
you were pointing at Johnson and said Ralston.
Oh, did I? Sorry.
Aye.
So yeah, well, Ralston's benefiting, isn't he? But Tierney again, like I can't believe he played Falkirk. I can't imagine he plays at the weekend. Tierney playing midweek weekend, and we need him next weekend midweek. I can't imagine him playing. But at the same time, like you said, you've got your team is going quite strong, I think, isn't it? Yeah, and I can see the whole logic behind that. I get it. I think it will be closer to the Falkirk team, personally, just with some of the rotation that needs to happen. I kind of changed mine before coming on, number 5. So I put my header through the middle. I went with you. Oh, no, it only saves my header through the middle. Great. I don't know why it's done that.
I tell you, you're going to need some more players, Quinny, I think.
Yeah, they all just go away when I do that. It's annoying. There you go. Well, we're looking so slick tonight as well. If that doesn't get you to hit the like button, then I don't know what will.
It's a one-man team.
Well, let's try that rotation team again, because I think we'll be quite close to that. I think, honestly, my team is, I think Scales is going to start left back. I think this is going to happen in centre back as well. And we know Ralston's going to play. I sincerely do think it'll be Schmeichel will play as well. But I think he's already said he'll play Dane Murray against anyone. He doesn't care. I think Trusty's lined up to play this game. I just don't see how you can get Tierney to play this game. And obviously Ralston's out injured. And against like this Livy team, like it's just that Muir-headed guy you need to watch out for, really. And like maybe Pittman or this Winter guy. But we all know what Livingston and Martindale are going to do. And yeah, I think you can get away with it, really, to be honest with you. I don't really see much of an issue with it. In midfield, I think it's the same midfield that started against Livy. We're going to get, Falkirk. Falkirk, we'll get McGregor, Engels, and McKeown coming in to start this one. And then the front line, I ended up changing my mind and thinking he might go Maeda through the middle and start Forrest and Yang. And then the first sub is Maeda comes off, someone else goes up front. And then the second sub is probably Forrest for like Negren or something like that. And yeah, Yang just needs to play the 90 minutes and deal with it. But yeah, that's kind of how this is the team I think it goes with. Maeda, the centre forward, I'm still really up at, because again, if I'm not playing Maeda in this game. If I'm Brendan Rodgers, I'm probably starting Shin to give him his first start or play Kenny personally. Yeah. But I changed my mind and went with you with Maeda because I could see that happening.
Here's a wild one, Quinny. Do you know who's really good at fullback? I don't know if you're going to get who.
The chat said it. I'm up for this chat. You can bring it.
No, you're thinking that I think the chat's already said it, but I'm thinking of somebody else. Who played as a fullback in Japan?
Yeah, that's Hatate.
He used to play at left back for Frontale, right? Played in all the different positions. So I mean, I guess the problem is you kind of really need him in the middle of the pitch. But
now, mate, I think that would be cheat codes, right, for against Almaty. If we did play him there, because then you get Engels into left centre mid, which is where he wants to play. Yeah. And if we are just going to dominate the ball against some of these jabronis, Hatate can play Greg Taylor's role way better than Greg Taylor did, probably. We've seen it already. He's got man of the match for Celtic twice at right back. Played 2 games in a row. People sometimes forget. Scored a nice goal there as well. Played in Japan at left back, as you were mentioning as well. I could dig it.
What if, like, because what confuses me about Scales when back up to Tierney is, like, Scales really a centre half, right? I mean, like,
yeah.
So we're playing Livingston at home, right? Who are you going to play at left back? We're going to dominate the ball. We're going to be in control of the ball. You play Scales at left back. That doesn't really make any sense to me. It makes sense in terms of managing Tierney's minutes, but it doesn't actually make any sense. Whereas actually playing like somebody like Hatate or whatever there, being good on the ball, I think would make sense because they don't really actually offer much. Kairat, I thought, actually, they didn't just park the bus. They played a wee bit and they looked like a decent team. So fair play to them. Quite, obviously.
I don't think that. I thought they were mince. Honestly, mate, I thought they were Aberdeen St Mirren at best. Like, they were honestly right there. That Ed Milson guy doesn't he play for half the teams in this country? I heard somebody saying he played well. He doesn't get a game for, maybe gets a game for Aberdeen because that Yengi guy looks kind of mince, right? But he doesn't get a game for Hibs. He doesn't get a game for Hearts. He doesn't get a game for them. He doesn't get a game for us. You know what I mean? Like,
I suppose. I mean, I'm not saying they were great or anything. I just mean, like, we're playing against Livingston and they are going to properly park the bus. I just mean I don't think the whole tactic was to park the bus. When they got the ball, they tried to play a bit, whether or not they did it or not. But yeah, I mean, like, one of our problems we've got at the moment is, like, Engels can't really get in the team and we've got 11 million for him. So actually kind of using Hatate for 10, 15 minutes here or there, one of the fullback positions would I think make a bit of sense. I think somebody in the chat said that Engels actually played a wee bit as a fullback in Germany as well. So whether or not you could use his kind of athleticism or whatever on the sort of fullback sort of side of things is an interesting one, I guess, as well. But I mean, what do you think? What we're going to do with? You can't just play Tony Ralston every game either, right? Because, like, he's not really played a lot. So is he going to just start every game, or do you have to actually, like, put somebody in that position for 10 minutes here or there or whatever? Otherwise, he ends up knackered. So
I think Kobe Donovan might get some minutes, mate. Very highly rated right back in the squad. Could be young player. Can he make the step up to playing Kairat or whatever? I don't know. I'm definitely playing Ralston in that game. I've got no problem playing Ralston against Kairat or against them or any. But Ralston's fine for me. I've got really no problems. His job is to do this, and he will give everything the whole time. Will he be a £50 million right back and look like Ashraf Hakimi or João Cancelo or something like that? No. But, he's as good a backup right back as you could expect. But if AJ's hamstring is like a 3-monther, which is certainly not out of the equation, we don't even have any update yet. The boy Donovan should be getting a look in at this point, should be getting minutes, and should be seeing, like, as much as Ralston's cool, we're all happy for him to be there. If this guy Donovan has the potential to be better than him, then we need to explore that. He needs to get the opportunity to show that. He's about to move to Dundee on loan. I heard a report of that yesterday, maybe the day before. And I think if depending on the scan for AJ, they might be saying, "No, wee man, Lager BLK style, you're staying here. We're not letting you go anywhere now." Tillio, by the way, has been let go. He is on his way to Rapid Vienna as we speak, probably. Just as a wee side note.
Must be getting some money.
But I'd love to see Donovan get some minutes. Maybe not against Livingston. I think it'll be Ralston. Not against Kairat or Rangers. I think that'll be Ralston. But failing signing someone, I think it's a great opportunity to get this guy in. Very highly rated and can certainly play domestic. It certainly is worth a shot domestically for a few months if needed.
If he feels good enough or whatever, then that's fair enough. You obviously attend some of the sort of B team unders games.
I wouldn't waste money on Max Johnsons and stuff like this. I wouldn't bother.
No.
Like why? We've got Ralston's. This is his job. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I hate to sound like Roy Keane, but if you can't play him when AJ's injured for a hamstring pull, when can you play him? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Aye. I think he's got to play, but you just, like, you've hit the nail on the head. We've got Livingston, then we've got a tough trip, then we've got Rangers. We might also have spells coming up in the not too distant future where you've got, like, international breaks. You've got Champions League fixtures. Obviously, we never, like, postponed this game. We had the option of saying, well, why don't we just play it a bit later on? We didn't. We brought in the lad from Man City. He's just appeared on the bench now, but
maybe
will
maybe
Dane Murray maybe come on and play a bit of right back or something, just for, all right, we're 3-0 up, we'll just who cares, we're 3-0 up, we just want to actually give Tony Ralston a rest because it's going to be 40 degrees in Kazakhstan, that type of thing, but I mean, I don't think Ralston should be moved on. I think that Ralston does a really good job, and he is the backup, and that's his role in the squad. And I don't think he's the problem. I don't think right back's the problem. I think the problem that we've got is we've been trying to add in creative players to the midfield, which is kind of developing a wee bit with Nygren. We've got a problem with Engels, so we paid £11 million with a guy, and we start home games, and the manager doesn't want to play him tactically. And then we've got a problem in the front three because all the guys that scored the goals and get the assists have all been sold. All of them. They're all away. Jota's injured. Kyogo was sold. Nicholas Kuhn get the lion's share of them. He gets sold and you haven't actually replaced him. That's the problem. You've taken all the goals out of the team. Maeda stayed, obviously. I know he got a lot last season, but just the first hint of a couple of games where he's not actually scoring and everybody's looking about going, who's going to score here? And all of a sudden, rather than winning 2 and 3-0 at home, you're getting 0-0s and 1-0s and stuff like that. And not really kind of looking as if you're going to be prolific in any way either. It's not like you're hitting the post in the bar and everything. It's like, hang on, like this is turgid stuff. So,
in the chat reminds us Engels played right back for Augsburg for a couple of minutes or a couple of games, So so it could be some creative solutions to this with some of the versatility the squad have got. That again, we were chatting. I know you really want to see Negren move up front, and for good reason, I guess. But considering everyone that's at the team at the moment, but Brendan seems really reluctant to acknowledge him as a winger, a la the way he used to fail to acknowledge Maeda was a striker when we still had Kyogo, or when we still had to replace Kyogo. He probably felt at the time. It's kind of like, don't tell the board they can play there. Shh, they won't buy a striker. Shh, don't tell. Feel like that, if you remember. It feels like that with Negren, where he's just like, I'm not playing this guy in the wing because then we won't buy any bloody wingers,
And then we'll bring in Balikwisha and Breum, the first team. Engels will play in midfield and Nygren will play in the wing, and then they'll come on for him. Like you can see it happening straight away. Like, I mean, I don't want to sound like Neil Lennon when he was talking about Cal McGregor at left back and talking about technicians and all that sort of stuff. But like the fact of the matter is, Benny Nygren's much better than Yang and Forrest. So at what point do you just say, well, okay, I know we're trying to do something tactically here, but why don't we put him up there and put Engels there? Because these are all our good players, and actually, we're playing guys here who just aren't actually, sort of good enough for this level. Maybe did feel as if they were good enough for that level, but Yang's largely been the backup. The guy who comes on for 10 minutes, even caused some problems against good teams in the Champions League. He came on and he done his sort of cameo role.
He was lively against Bayern, like it was,
yeah. But I mean, lively. It's easier to be lively coming on in the last 15 minutes when everybody's knackered and you're trying to create a spark. But that's a different role for you get him started and you say, right, you've got to deliver today. And when he gets that role, he seems to kind of struggle with that a wee bit. Now he's a young guy, but it might just be that actually, although he looks like a player, he just doesn't have any end product and it's not going to come. It might come, but at the moment, it doesn't look as if he's ready to say, okay, I am the right winger or whatever. Or you don't need to worry that Jota's injured because I'm going to hold down this role. I'm going to get goals and assists every so often. You've not got a concern. And then when Jota comes back, then obviously you've got a problem. He's not posing that problem just now. The problem you're posing just now is you're like, we need somebody in. So there we go.
Yeah. People are asking if I would support a back three. I don't really think so, man, because we kind of play a back two, really, against most teams. By the time we build possession up for a little minute and we get our fullbacks, and we kind of play with a back two. So playing with a back three, it's just going to take somebody out of this picture somewhere, and bringing our defender on, like Trusty. And I don't think that gets us on anywhere, really. So I like the idea of it, like in principle for the squad we've got, maybe something you could do, but the reality of it is it probably doesn't actually move us on in any way, because we kind of just do leave those two guys back there the whole time.
Yeah.
for the most part. I was going to try and fix it again so this is your no, sorry. We had your predicted team up. I'm going to try and fix it around to what I meant to have saved for mine. But yeah, I think it's going to be Trusty Murray. Johnson's obviously out, so Ralston's in. I don't think Tierney starts this. I think this is going to be a wild team, to be honest with you. Everything's on the second leg. I don't think you can risk Tierney breaking. I really don't think you can risk Maeda, but I don't think he's really got much of a choice at this point. And I say McCowan and Engels for me start all day on this one. So this is and then let's save that as...
I'm going to have to change my Sorare teams looking at this, Quinny. It's like I've done a draft and it's just like, I don't know how I'm going to get 5 starters. Anyway, that's our problem, really. So.
Hatate didn't play any minutes, didn't come off the bench against Livingston at all. So, and he did say that Falkirk was a precursor to Livingston, how he's going to manage the squad and everything. I think Trusty and Murray is centre-back. I don't think you play Vickers. I don't think you play Tierney. And obviously, we can't play Johnson, So I think the defence looks like that. Personally, if you were to get me to do it, that's what I'm saying. Same with the midfield. And the front line, I really have got no idea. But Yang and Forrest have to play, I think, because you're going to either drop Ida, rest Maeda, start somebody, Shin or Kenny or whatever. I don't know, but I think Forrest and Yang just kind of have to play on the wings.
I could see Shin starting, just from the point of view of like, just if Maeda was hobbling, so like,
yeah,
it looks as if he had a wee knock or some cramp. So,
but like the chat said, Maeda and Hatate just never get dropped, and I do go along with that. But I think this is like so cup final territory for us. Is like we cannot fuck it up. Like there's only one game to play, and it's knife edge. I don't think you take the gamble with any of these guys. Vickers, Tierney, Maeda, Hatate, even Nygren, because you kind of need Nygren to do something in this match at some point, but you need him fresh for Wednesday, and he's already played lots of 90 minutes, as well, which is fine, but you're pushing him too far, I think, at this point, if you start him in this game.
I could see Nygren starting and then Engels starting against Kairat, because like you're playing away from home and they're like it's on their home turf, so that might be a different type of game. Are they going to sit back? They want to get through, so like do we play a slightly? We'll always try and get like possession of the ball, but they're not going to camp in their own box at home, are they? Like they're going to have they're going to try and score.
They're going to play for penalties.
You think?
Oh, mate, penalties is 100% in their playbook. Like, as an outcome, they will, like, if we can get it, they'll be thinking all about that, man. No two ways about it.
I think we'll beat them. Honestly, I'm going to go against the grain. I'm going to say I think we'll beat them.
I think so too. I hope so. But I think they're thinking 0-0 again. They're going for it. Maybe they can sneak something, but the best player's missing. Their goalkeeper's missing. They're just going to say they couldn't get a shot on target in their own place. They're not going to get a shot on target in our place. And they'll just try and kill the game, I think. And then obviously they can break. I'm sure they'll be up for doing that if the opportunity presents itself. But I don't think they're going to do like anything other than sit back and just get to penalties.
Maybe. Aye, that might be right. Aye. I mean, it's a tough call. I like what you've said about the midfield. That makes a lot of sense to me with Engels and McCowan thing. So that would make sense. The back line, I just don't really see him. Well, obviously with Johnson out, like just CCV's had a rest, so like I think he'll actually want to kind of get him up to speed now, if that makes sense. He strolls those games at home. I mean, like half the time he's standing watching what's happening. Like that's like a training game for him. But
he loves money. He loves money.
I know. But why did we sign this JSP guy? I mean, like, why did we?
Hope he knows me.
I don't get it. Like, why did we sign him? Like, and also, like, if there's some sort of clause in that that says he's got to get some games, if we don't play him in a game like this, who are we ever going to play him against ever? You're not going to start him against Rangers away. You're not going to start him away against Kairat because it's a big game. So when are you actually going to play him? The perfect chance to play him was like Falkirk, in the cup. So maybe Murray goes on loan. Maybe they'll want to get him minutes. He was talking about his development. Well, he's not going to develop a lot sitting on the bench. I don't know. It's a weird one. I don't know if this guy's really like if he's good enough as well. But I mean, obviously he's had some games for Man City, albeit nobody's really saying he's pulling up any trees, like, and they want to obviously send him out on loan. But there will be some sort of condition there regarding him getting games. And that Man City don't just send somebody like that to us and just say, "Oh, that's fine, just do what you want, just sit him on the bench." Like, he's going to have to get some minutes at some point, isn't he? Like,
I think it'll be related to the fee. So it's like if he plays 20 games, we'll pay 80% of his wages. If he plays 10 games, we'll pay half his wages or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it'll be something like that. Like, you know, it'll be monetary. You know, it won't be, you know, we're going to fall out with you or take you to court or something, but it'll be like, yeah, Celtic will be financially incentivized. Like, this deal gets cheaper the more you play him, kind of thing.
Brendan will not give two hoots about that whatsoever.
Nah.
He will not care. He will. If the guy plays no games and it costs us more money, he will not give. Like, he just won't care. So, I think he's kind of there as like a Tony Ralston role. You know, he's the backup. But then the backups are going to have to play at some point. So,
one thing I was going to say there is Brendan did say in the press conference this week that he wants 5 centre backs, right? And I thought, oh, what stupid like justification for Simpson Pussy that is, right? But see, then as you brought it back up, I thought, you know, that does actually kind of add up because last year, obviously Welsh isn't really in the reckoning, right? But last year he did stop Naroki and Lagerbielke going out together. You know, they were both kind of primed to go and they both got, and everyone was like, why do we need all these players? And maybe he just thinks Welsh isn't in it, but that would have been 5 centre backs last year, you know. So maybe Brendan, maybe that's the way he builds defence. He wants 5 centre backs, doesn't want 4, like you'd think is natural. He wants, or not natural, but simple, symmetrical. He wants 5, maybe. So maybe that is just a Rodgers thing, actually, because he did stop Welsh and Naroki leaving, like I mentioned. So maybe there's something in that. I thought it was hot air.
I think it's also because Scales is covering the left back position as well, right? So some of those times, so like it's like, yeah, what happens if? So all right, touch wood, it's happened to Alistair Johnson and Ralston's there, but if Tierney were to get injured, Scales is your left back. So then all of a sudden, Trusty's playing every week, or you know, whoever you want to pick, and then what? You know, so it's that like what happens because we've seen it before. Like, I was totally digressing, but look at what happened with like Real Madrid. Maybe they get that big series of injuries, and it's like they get 2 centre halves injured, and then you're like they're playing a guy you've never heard of who like Raul Asensio come in and actually look pretty good because obviously they're just high level and stuff like that. But like you could get a scenario where you're a wee bit unlucky and you get a couple of injuries at the same time. So you've got to prepare for that. Otherwise, people will say, "Oh, you've got 100 million in the bank and you're rolling out Joe Bloggs at centre half." So yeah, it does make sense, but I don't. It's be interesting to see going forward whether JSP is now ahead of Murray. If he's not ahead of Murray, is he like just one of the numbers in there just in case? Is he just not going to play much? In which case, like, why did we really sign him? I don't know. It's a weird one.
It is a weird one. I've got Dane Murray in a team this week for the first time.
Oh yeah, I've got a Dane Murray as well. I forgot about him. Oh, I'm going to have to do my teams again, Quinny. You're messing my head up. I've got
teams. Did say Falkirk and Livingston is there's a correlation there. I think it's the centre mids and the centre backs. I really do. Fuck knows about the front line, like we've mentioned.
Well, we don't have enough depth in the front line, do we? So if we're going to rotate, then it's probably going to be like midfieldish. I just think that like maybe there'll be one less change in defence just because Johnston's out, and like he'll know what he just say. We're just changing a back 5. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah,
you know, say Ralston, Schmeichel might stay in. Then I don't know. I think he trusts Sinisalo. I don't think that's like, you know, anything too outrageous. Like I think he's proven that he can do a job, and but Scales is going to have to play somewhere. So I guess Scales quite a safe pick for this weekend. Carter Vickers, I don't think he needs a rest after Falkirk. You think he'll get rested for this, but there was loads of points last season where he played 3 games in a row. In fact, I think at one point we played like 8 games in a row somewhere midfield, and we were going, at what point is he going to get rested? And
I remember
he just didn't, because he was just strolling through games. So I think that he's had his rest against Falkirk, and I think he'll probably play, because otherwise then, you know, you're going from Johnson and Carter Vickers to Ralston and sort of Murray or whatever, and would make sense to to rest Tierney. Just have Tierney on the bench, you know, like if it's still 0-0 after 60 minutes, give him 30 minutes, then he's had his rest for midweek, that type of stuff. But aye, there's not a lot of that fills me with a lot of confidence either, Quinny. So I think we need to get some of those signings in.
Yeah. So that was your team. This is my team. I'm tempted to maybe change Murray for Carter Vickers. Similar to what you've done to me with Maeda, you've kind of swayed me on that when I could see, yeah, he's maybe had his feet up for the Falkirk game, and he maybe comes in for this one. I could go along with that, I guess. Whereas Vickers,
you could even, if Murray's on the bench, or like, so say you were like maybe 2-0 up with 20 minutes to go, you could just take Vickers off. You know, and just give JSP 20 minutes or whatever, you know, just to get some game time into him. So
I maintain Tierney doesn't start this, but I don't think. I think you maybe then do this and just tell Ralston to go forth and just wing back it all day, wee man.
Yeah, that would make sense. And then if Engels playing the left, then that's a space that Tierney would take up. Then, you know, he could kind of go over there and join in with the winger. You could, like, Scales kind of gets to a certain point and then he goes, "Oh, I've got a nosebleed." Like, you know, I'll come up for the corner once you've won the corner, like the Jaggy Bunnet on it. But that would actually kind of make sense.
I can see it. And Scales, by the way, at left back, isn't he a glorious looking thing, is it? But see, last night, seeing he was just going, fuck it, I'm standing up front. I was here for it, man. I was like, good on you, big man. Just go up there, just play dumb. I'll just do what Taylor would do, you know. Just gonna stand up here, try and get the ball hit off me.
At least a bit of emphasis, a bit of like, you know, what like Man United do with like Harry Maguire. Like you'll be watching a game and Harry Maguire's on the bench and they'll be like, bringing on Harry Maguire. What are they doing here? And it's like, yeah, Harry Maguire's standing in the box and he's just trying to head up people and stuff. And like, yeah, like we need a goal now. So I do get that. That would be
a lot of chat for Bernardo in the live chat as well. I don't see Bernardo getting. He maybe came off the bench for McGregor. I could see that happening. You know, no problem. But I don't think Bernardo's starting.
I don't think this game suits him either because I think we've got to create something. And if you play McCowan, then he's capable of creating something, or he's capable of maybe scoring from outside the box. So McCowan would definitely make sense because then, like, obviously he could give Nygren a wee rest, and then Nygren's still there, right? So again, if you need goals later on, all of a sudden you do actually have some good options from the bench and stuff. So,
aye, it'll be a tough one. In terms of trying to predict it.
How do they have a block? Do they have a like just delete all button? And sorry, I don't know.
No, sadly not, mate. Okay, just to go through it. My all-star teams I've got a good bit of fun with. I like the 7-a-side ones, but I just tried to go super safe. I think Trusty and obviously Ralston's nailed. But I think Trusty's super nailed. I think, honestly, I just think Engels McCowan is just double nailed as well to play this.
Yeah.
I just kind of get away from it myself. I've put Engels in a team with Wanizek and Neymar just to make sure of it. Because if Engels plays, he's on sets, you know, and if he can get decisive, like a wee goal or an assist, he's itching for it. Could be a good Engels weekend. I think McCowan could score mad as well. I think he'll be a really good player. McGregor, jury's out on. Like, he could be rested. I really just don't see it. Similar to what you said about Vickers and Maeda. These guys, Hitate's in that category as well, but I think he'll look after Hitate, play Engels and McCowan, keeps them happy, keeps them pushing on. Maybe one of them can make a wee breakthrough somehow. But yeah, I think ultimately McGregor, Dyson and Carter Vickers are probably kind of nailed, aren't they?
Delete.
Delete. Try to think if I had any other fun teams. I've got a Bad Batch team going out this week. All former Hoops, McBride. Lager Bielke at home. Jens is away. Iwata and Kyogo. O'Reilly and Abada.
Nice. I see O'Reilly started and then he got the penalty as well. So that was pretty good. So I can see that. That's good.
And I've got a wee kind of J-League tribute act going out in one team as well.
Hang on, I'm busy here. Delete. It's like, honestly, I think it's one of these weekends where, I mean, obviously we're making a bit more of a deal of it because we're trying to predict like who we want to start for the fantasy football and things. But at the end of the day, I suppose, like from our point of view, it's about like actually getting the right performance and everything in this weekend. And it's like, you know, delivering like a good, like maybe getting a few goals and getting a bit of confidence back in the team. I don't know, like, I'm not suggesting he start Adam Ida, but like even if he doesn't start, Ida will probably come on with 10 or 15 to go or something, right? Like if you're 2-0, 3-0 up, he's going to bring him on. Look,
somebody was saying he was puking at half time on a fitness test.
Maybe he was on the maybe he was on the Jacob Bombers or something on Friday night, or like.
Can someone in the chat confirm that? Was that an old story? I heard it today or yesterday. Was that an old story or was that from the game last night? He did getting taken around by the fitness coach and he was puking.
He likes a swally, doesn't he? Like, who doesn't? But I don't know. He didn't look that sharp to me, but
honestly, I was surprised he got taken off at halftime. I wasn't totally convinced that he was the problem as such. He dropped deep once or twice. He's just, we never got any shots away. We never made any chances. It's kind of hard. I did find it surprising. It did invigorate us. I think Maeda through the middle is better. I think Yang gave a wee bit of punch into the game when he came on in the first 5 minutes or so. Forrest unlucky not to score right from the 45th minute or whatever it was. But yeah, I was quite surprised. I don't think Ida was out and out the broken link there. We're kind of chatting about it earlier on. Where's number one we're at now. I thought there was periods in the game yesterday, and I mentioned this in the breakdown, but I don't think we've really caught up properly, McBride. But I thought Negren was the only one that was actually ever trying to like get into the box, and with times where he would link up with Forrest, he would then kind of dive into here, and Forrest would end up coming into this area and giving the ball to Tate or trying to get Maeda on the back post, and it would just die down. And there's a few times where, again, anyone in the game might have noticed this as well, but Negren was like, wasn't making a big deal about it. You could tell he was trying to restrain himself, but if you really kind of focused on him, you would see he was kind of like, oh, why didn't I get the ball there? I was the one breaking the lines. I was the one coming into space, playing me back. And I felt, I did feel Negren was kind of the one that if we just found him a bit more, we would have probably got a few more chances inside the box, because Tate wasn't trying to get into the box. He was trying to maybe play Dyson once or twice, and it was just getting goal kicked central. And that in Ida, like, I don't really remember anyone trying to play Ida in, maybe for good reason. But like, I didn't think he was really the missing link. I really do think it was Forrest not finding Negren too much. We did do well in the times when, this has got some fancy toys on it, McBride. We've got the pitch zones on it. And see, whenever, I don't think this is the one I want. It's maybe one of these. Yeah, it's one of these other ones. It doesn't really matter. But whenever we got Negren and Tate on the same side of the pitch, we looked dangerous for a minute. Sometimes Tate would come over here. Once or twice we would get Negren over here. But that was the only times when we really doubled up with numbers, because individually, 1v1s, nobody was beating anyone.
And again, the problem he does, he wasn't like given that movement. So when Nygren comes in on the sort of left foot, then you want that wee slide drill pass. But to do that, you need a bit of movement from the forward player as well. The reason I always thought that maybe Nygren would play like right wing is because Johnson loves to bomb forward in those games as well. So then, when you've got the guy coming inside, it creates a space outside, whereas obviously all space outside then was like, it's going to be Jamesy Forrest and stuff like that. But again, the other side, let's see if we're going to play Kieran Tierney and he's going to be getting to the byline, or he's going to be whipping in crosses. Why not just buy a guy who can actually header a ball, Why not buy like a Luke de Jong, or somebody that's actually like, a Taremi, like a guy who's like a big
unapologetically guy. A striker.
Yeah, like a forward player. Like, somebody like that. Because the thing with Ida, like, part of the problem is that people don't always recognise what type of player he is. I think that he's one of his best performances was Aston Villa away, and he looked pretty good in that game, and that was against an English Premiership team. And, if you and Azy are watching that, then I can supply a highlight reel from that Aston Villa game and a drive to Italy with a overnight stay. I'll drive him, honestly. Like, I'll also have a few pints with him and everything as well. Whatever he wants to do. But yeah, I mean, he does have like some qualities, but I just don't think it really like matches up to what we want to do. It would be better, like, in there having like a Sutton or a Hartson type. If we're going to get Tierney putting balls into the box. You want somebody that can actually outmuscle somebody and stick the jaggy bunnet in it and get it into the back post, like create a goal that way. Because one of the problems you got with teams sitting in is that you might say, well, we'll create something through the middle, but their whole setup is to stop you from having any space in the middle. And then it's like, okay, what's the plan? Put Liam Scales up front. That's what he's a better striker than Adamida as well. Surely. That's what we should do. We should start a campaign for Scaldini to get up there and just get him one of the hats like the goalkeeper was wearing or whatever. He'll become like a total like Harry Maguire figure and get the ball in the box, and like that would be like an interesting real life like tactic. Like who's going to score more goals up front, Scales or Ida?
Like a football experiment kind of thing.
Yeah, don't take that guy Yengi from Aberdeen. He looked absolutely horrific, honestly. Like, but there we go.
As is customary fashion, we've smashed through 88 likes with everyone live and loud with us, so thanks to everyone that's done that. If you're watching this after we've been live, we need to get as many as possible. The barrier we're always looking to break through now is 250. McBride, we normally finish these shows with a score prediction. Now, I do find it hard to come up with a score prediction having no idea who's going to be up front. I do find that bit kind of difficult. I'm supremely confident in our defence, even without AJ. Even I'm imagining there's no Tierney, as well. I don't think Livingston have got much of a huff and a puff to give us in this one. And I think we do keep the clean sheet in this one. But I don't think it's going to be easy. I don't think we're going to score that many goals, sadly. Or, I could, as those words leave my mouth, I think McCowan and Engels are going to have a great game. The pair of them. I think they will be right up for. I'm putting my name on the team this weekend, big time. I'm going to give the manager a headache. McCowan didn't even come off the bench against Kairat. McCowan could have been all right to use. Never get seen. Engels is obviously bursting to get a shirt on. I can see it. I'm going to go with 2-0. I'm going to go with 2-0 to the Hoops. How are you feeling?
I'm going to agree with you. We never ever agree in the scoreline prediction, but I was going to say 2-0 myself. I just think don't think Livingston are that good, which isn't the biggest statement in the world. And as you say, we'll dominate the game, and I think you will score 1 or 2. But I'm not seeing points last season. We thought, if we really catch 5 here, we're going to score 4 or 5 goals. I'm not seeing any of that at the moment. I think it'll be a bit more kind of flat, and it'll be like a 1 or a 2-0 type game. So 2-0 Celtic.
2-0 to the Hoops. If you're watching this after we've been live, the best place to leave your score prediction is in the comments section of the video here on the channel. Leave your receipts on the internet. So if you do get it right, you get something to screenshot and say, see, I called it. If you're going to the game, travel safe, have a good time. Probably not a good idea to spend money on concessions when you're at Parkhead and our kind of quiet protest as a fan base that we're maybe trying to exercise at the moment. And have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. McBride, it's been an absolute pleasure as always, my man.
Hail, hail. Still no thought in to say at the end of the video, so
hail, hail, everyone.
Weekend, everyone.
Like, subscribe, share, retweet, all that good stuff. We'll see you on the next one.